because we are time constrained, I'm going to go to Solomon and Machile to share with us some, and I'm sure Josephine would like to listen, some of the challenges you're facing in your network.
Good evening. Talking about community networks. We need community network, but we may realize from Josephine's presentation that most of the challenges are in all community networks. So I'm going to start by the connectivity equipment are also expensive to acquire. And with this challenge, sometimes we are constrained. We cannot go as far as we wish to because of the infrastructure. Secondly, high cost of bandwidth. Most people in Africa still do not believe that community networks are there to help the poor. And so with this, most of the ISPs think that community networks are taking away their businesses by giving cheap internet, but they don't understand this. That's why they give us really bandwidth at a very high cost, and yet the community we serve, rural community, they are not that wealthy, and they need something at a subsidized cost. I give an example of the refugee settlements in Uganda. There is a law there that you don't need to charge for any service. Now, if we take the internet there, how are we going to sustain it without charging for that service? And this becomes a very big challenge because we need much money to acquire bandwidth, but of which we are not selling it as business. We are not getting profits from it. So the next one is gender inclusiveness. In most of the centers that we are operating, it is in most cases that gender, the females are not encouraged. In the Choli culture, those days, the female were not encouraged to do certain things because of the norm, but it has affected up to now in the ICT world. You find few females, and if you go for training in ICT in these areas, also female participation is very low, and they are not encouraged by their parents or their brothers because they are taken as they are supposed to be doing housewife and taking care of other things. And yet, this intervention is for not only for men, it's for both sex. So the next challenge is policy regulation. According to our terrain of the northern Uganda, we are faced with so many obstacles when doing the connectivity. The line of sight, most of the times, it is very hard to find. And now, if you present that, maybe UCC to grant us the TV white space, because for it, at least it can work out best in the terrain of our land. But this TV white space is licensed, and it is very expensive for us to, as a community network, to acquire it. And this also prevents us from connecting. There are some other parts of the northern Uganda that we are operating in. We have not connected them because of this kind of issue. There is no clear line of sight, and the frequency that are free, that are not licensed, are cannot handle this terrain. There are too many tall trees around that prevent us from getting the line of sight. So I think Solomon is going to add on other challenges. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you much, Lord. I'm just going to go through the remaining challenges. One of the challenges is issues of the tax. Tax has been a major challenge because, as you know, from the discussion, community network are not for profit, so most of the equipment that we buy and also the bandwidth that we get, we just extend it to the community, and the community does not pay for them. So it becomes very difficult that the taxes alone can eat part of the money that can extend services to other communities. So for example, instead of connecting like 5, you can end up connecting only 2 communities because lots of money, almost 50%, is going to the tax. So I think that is one challenge that we need to be supported with, so that we are exempted from tax, or we are given a reduction on the import and also the bandwidth that we normally buy. So for example, instead of buying 20 megabits, we can end up buying only 14 or even 12. So, but the money that we will pay plus the tax will be enough to cater for like 20 Mbps. So if those taxes are stopped or they are reduced, it will give opportunity for POSCO to procure more bandwidth and then connect the communities and also have more equipment. The other issues that we are facing challenge on is funding. In most countries that we have been communicating with, the government is now working together with the community network to give the universal access fund, so that instead of the government implementing this community network, the one implementing this project. And in Uganda, we have seen a challenge that this funding been mostly is not used for community transformation. They have tried in schools, but we find that these schools have very little impact on the community directly. But if you give those kind of funds to a community network, they will affect the community directly, the intervention. So I think what the UCC is looking at is that they go through the schools and enter the community. But if you look critically, sometimes school is a more confined environment where community does not really go into them, because most of the time students are at school, people are at school, and also sometimes issues of community versus school. There can be conflict. What time does the community come in? For example, if the school is a boarding school, it's very risky to allow community members to come in because they can take something from school or something. So those kind of funds should be directed to communities, but for the school should be for school. And then the other bit of the funding is that the companies or the donor organization that are currently funding community network, they normally fund community network, but the issues like tax and other things is a challenge that most of them they don't cater for. And then this affects implementation, because the money that is channeled to the community network is really very small. That cannot even extend these services to the community. So I think this gathering will also help us to see what are the possible avenues of funding. That is why you had other community networks. They are now doing programs that can raise some revenue to move the community network forward. And lastly, we are also having challenge of sustainability. We all recognize that our community came from a very tough background in terms of the insurgency, and stabilizing was a bit a challenge. So Bosco Uganda has been giving the service free of charge to the community, and which right now we are seeing that donor funding is getting reduced. So we need to look at a different model of sustainability, so that communities start contributing, so that more bandwidth is given out. But also on the sustainability, there are other things that we can look through, that we can see during the discussion. So we have areas that we need to look through the discussion. Lastly, sorry I skipped this, we are also promoting and preserving culture. That is one of the things that Bosco Uganda is doing. So we see that the positive cultures that are within the Acholi should be maintained. For example, most of the people of these days, cooking some traditional food is a challenge. Some of the traditional dances will go off, some of the traditional stories that we grew up listening to. So Bosco Uganda also wants to document this and have it in digital form, readily available for the new generation. And this can be kept for generation and generation, so that even generation that comes later, they are able to find this kind of culture preserved.
So much that has been elaborated, and sorry, just at some point in time we had a technical glitch, but gentlemen, I hope you all heard from Immature and my good friend. Now, before we go into open discussion, because we have one major of the group discussion, is there anybody who would like to share or respond?
I like the Bosco Uganda. Today, the first time we're learning about Bosco Uganda. Your chairman talked about that in most cases, like the government prioritizes people who already have and will leave out people who don't have. For example, our compares in UCC, sometimes you see there's a project, it's a school like King's College being given resources like computers, and a school like Guru High or Guru SS is neglected. So, on your issue of the universal service funds being used effectively for the community to benefit, I would like to do your attention. We as UCC, how will you work? Because we are government. So it is better to work with government institutions. We are talking about local government, Ministry of Education. But I believe, as an individual, from here, if we wrote something to the minister, to the speaker, to the chairman of the ICT committee, this funding, the universal service fund is one issue, the rural community development fund is another issue, then UCC is another issue. All of these three are independent of each other. So whereas this money is given by operators to benefit society, I believe that if you can come up with a proposal on how the lasting money can benefit better, it can be adopted by policy, because even the one which is there was just adopted. And to the best of my understanding, UCC is what getting views. How best can we use this profit from MTN, from Airtel, for the people to benefit? You have elaborated that. And the gentleman, I think it's called Steve, said most service funds end up being used by government because the money is everywhere. I don't know the status for our CDF in Uganda, but when you look at a such person talking, it might be true that the money is collected, it is not used. Whereas here you are, who can reach the community better? So I'm requesting, if there is a way we can use this platform so that we can inform the real policy makers that on the issue of giving computers it is okay, But when it comes to last mile internet to this farmer in the village, I think we can do better by using like Bosco Uganda.
Thank you so much for our Records Commission for collaboration with Bosco Uganda in an effort, of course, to support every non-profit complements government and an effort to, of course, complement its services. I think this is really a very important point that should be captured. I also would like to reiterate with a question that I received earlier. Internet from NITA or Uganda or NITA is at $80 per megabyte, while Bosco Uganda is getting internet at $35, and Tanzania is getting it at $10. What is the way forward? How, in other words, somebody's asking what can we do to get this rates done? Which is also emphasized by what Josephine raised, that if we have to provide better access to those who cannot access, then government has to cut on its taxes, especially on non-for-profits like those reaching the rural community. So they're trying to see from Uganda Communications how, when you have organizations like those for Uganda, the ones that are in the rural, like the direct farmers that you talk about, how can we do that? I want to get one or two more questions or observations, then we go into a group discussion and then we see how we conclude today. Yes, Board Chair.
Thank you, Martin. Mine is a focus on the four community networks. Then the Lenny, CYP, Amoja, and Bosco. I think what we can get from the synergies of the four community networks is that, as a principle, the idea of copying, mixing, and pasting is innovative. The idea of copying and pasting is dangerous. Plagiarism. You see best practices in Pamoja. You have seen best practices in Zenzeleni. You have seen best practices in CYP Malawi. Integrate Bosco Uganda should be able to integrate and contextualize what they have seen in those three sites. That's the benefit. Josephine has gone off, I think. Two, I was going to allude to the same thing. This is Bosco Uganda, providing community network. The engineer from UCC says there should be concept and paper positions presented to the relevant committee on ICT, for example, so that the matter is deliberated up to Parliament. Is the question of tax waiver. Bosco Uganda is doing what the government of Uganda has not done, has broken the ice, connecting the unconnected and being a voice to the voiceless. What we would expect is, much as you waive tax and you have tax exemptions for equipment for enhancing connectivity, in the same way we would do with a government institution like in a university where you have digital equipment, laboratory equipment, they are tax waivers. We benefited from it. My university is doing Bachelor of Engineering in Electronic and Computer Engineering. We got tax waivers of up to 400 million shillings. Now, I would expect UCC to lead the brand. This is an organization doing your work on behalf of the people of the country, having people first principle. Bosco Uganda is having people first principle of ensuring community benefit from IT. How are you going to assist organizations that do community networks in getting tax exemptions?
Thank you so much. This has been a lot of remarks too. I also want to emphasize, even in 2008 when I was serving in Bosco, we were already in communication with the Uganda Communications Commission. And I remember a few mails, and I just want to urge the aspect of shared partnership. Shared partnership is very important, especially when you know that a non-for-profit service complements what the mandate of a ministry is doing or what the mandate of an autonomous state of government is doing. It's indeed a good thing. So If there are no further questions, I want us to break this session so that, yes, one more.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to ask my children. She has been talking about policy like regulation. I just wanted to know specifically what policy are you talking about here? Because I've been hearing since morning talking about policy on community network, but I don't know which one really is the policy. Thank you.
I wanted to also ask what is her name? Immaculate. You talked about that the gender issues is the most core thing. In regard to what we have been doing, but I don't know if you know for sure that the specialists, IPC specialists coming from universities are also both a part of ladies and gentlemen. So there's no question that we have a stereotype culture that not to the gender issue is there. Now that this question of Bosco and internet in that across the board, there's no gender culture on it.
Thank you. Sometimes our perspective, respected to the observations of those who shared, I'm going to give you 2 minutes each, so that we'll round this up and we'll go to the next session. We're running out of time.
Thank you. I'm not talking about the educated, the land. When you go deep there in the rural communities, there are people who have not gone to school. These are the people I am focusing on. And when you are there, they are not there. Even the men still have the mindset that this thing is not for them. This thing is only for the men. So Solomon will answer the policy concern.
Quickly on the policy, I think we have talked of the frequencies. That is one of the biggest challenge because of the terrain where we are operating. Currently we have 2.4 and 5.8 which is free. We have approached UCC on the issues of white space, TV white space. Like the person in charge of the infrastructure said, that is a process and the government processes take long. So you can imagine if it takes like the next 5 or 10 years, how many community members would have missed on this kind of services. So we want those kind of policies to be faster so that the service is given. Secondly, if you look at the policy framework, a community network, we are not included in most of the current policy. Unless the last one that was reviewed, that is when we made a submission of some of the activities of community network that should be included in. So we want policies, for example, issues of exemption should be a policy that if it's a community network, taxes are what? They are exempted from import tax or maybe on equipment, maybe exempted from bandwidth tax or something like that.
Okay, Sister Kevin has one, and you know, inside, if somebody says talking about gender, I feel like I'll not be so fair if I deny sister and have a chance to continue representing within the community.
Sorry, I'm not going to talk of gender, but I want to add on to the challenges. The 4 challenges which Immaculate gave, I would, there is also the challenge of compatibility. The first equipments which were installed cannot match with the present equipment. So it is one of the challenges that are being faced today. If you move around and you check on the equipments that were installed at the start of Bosco, they are just there now for decoration. So take that also as a point.
Thank you so much. I hope all of you know now there's iPhone 7, 8. The next week you'll be of 9 and 10. So compatibility issues continues to be a challenge. All right. Some of these were observations. I'm keen on making sure we go to the next level. The next, Josephine, at this point in time, I'd like to say thank you for your presentation. If you're still there.
Yes, I am.
Okay. This has been your session. I don't know if you want to make a conclusive remark. So, as I just want to let you know, we're running out of time, but we're still happy to listen to you make your final remark on the issues that came up.
Okay, great. Once again, just like to say thank you for the opportunity to participate in the event. Very interesting discussions. I like the feedback from UCC and also the contributions towards the gender components. And I'd like to stay on for the discussions so that I can hear the group discussion deliberations and the outcomes from it. Then I'll be able to give like my final remarks around the event.
Sounds good.